Senator Warren.
Thank you, and thank you very much again, Madam Chair, for holding this hearing and for our ranking member. It's a very important topic, and I appreciate your doing this. I want to ask just a little bit more about monitoring guardians and how this is done, so that when the state court appoints someone as a guardian to make decisions on behalf of someone who's no longer able to make decisions for themselves, guardians, obviously, most of them do a good job, but some abuse this responsibility and exploit vulnerable seniors. So when the exploitation of a senior is suspected, the burden of investigating the case falls on the states for legal action here. Ms. Martin, as the Executive Director of Legal Services for the Elderly in Maine, you see the effects of senior financial abuse every day. I took a look at your testimony, and I see that you emphasize the importance of state adult protective service agencies in preventing senior financial abuse. Could you say just a bit more about why these agencies play such an important role in preventing this abuse?
Well, in our experience, Adult Protective Services is there for individuals for whom there may be no one else to respond, no one else to investigate, no one else to ensure safety or take action to ensure safety. And our statewide helpline gets hundreds, if not thousands, of calls every year that we actually refer on to Adult Protective Services. They're calls from concerned neighbors and family members and individuals in the community worried about seniors, and that's where we are sending those calls.
Do state adult protective services agencies have adequate funding to tackle the scale of the senior abuse problem that you see?
No, there's not adequate resources there. My hat goes off to my colleagues in Adult Protective Services. They do tremendous work, but they don't have adequate resources. Our Adult Protective Services in Maine saw a 29% increase in calls related to vulnerable seniors from 2010 to 2014. So that's a tremendous increase. If we did some of the things we're talking about today in this room, which we need to do, you can imagine how those numbers would go up even further.
Right, right. So I appreciate this. You know, as you know, the Social Security Act of 1974 gave the states the authority to use federal funds for adult protective services to protect vulnerable seniors from financial exploitation. And for decades, this funding, which has been administered by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services through the Social Services Block Grant, has been used to protect seniors from financial exploitation. As you testify, and I assume everyone would pretty much agree with this, the states don't have enough money to do the critical job that they are called on to do. But rather than focus on ways to strengthen state fights against financial exploitation of seniors, just this year, Paul Ryan, the Speaker of the House, has proposed to entirely eliminate this funding from the 2017 budget plan. And Representative Kevin Brady, the Republican chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, has introduced a bill actually in the House of Representatives to do exactly that. And it got substantial support. Every Republican, 4 Democrats, voted to support that bill and move it forward. And this bill is called the Reducing Duplicative and Ineffective Federal Funding Act. So, Ms. Martin, let me ask you, do you believe that the Social Services Block Grant funding for adult protective services who fight senior financial abuse is duplicative and ineffective?
Well, to my knowledge, it's not duplicative, and I certainly can tell you that their work is extraordinarily effective and valuable and essential in our communities.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you, Ms. Martin. You know, I don't think that this funding is duplicative or ineffective either. I kind of think the bill should be renamed the Reducing Critically Important and Already Inadequate Federal Funding Act. It seems pretty clear to me that if Congress is serious about preventing senior financial abuse, then we should be increasing the funding for adult protective services agencies, not talking about eliminating it. You know, we beat this bill back the first time it was proposed, but all the signs indicate that the House may try again to cut this important program. And I think that trying to destroy adult protective services by taking away federal funding is absolutely the wrong way to go. And if that's where Speaker Ryan wants to go, he should explain that to the American people. I just want to say I appreciate the work that all of you do. I know that this is very difficult work done under very difficult circumstances, but it makes such a human difference to the people that you touch every day. So thank you for all that you do. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Senator Blumen.